The highlights of the year, as well as the humdrum routine of everyday life, are made brighter by having perfect health, which is made inevitable by drinking Ovaltine every day. Happiness and health go hand in hand, and an Ovaltine day is a happy day. And that's because Ovaltine makes and keeps you supremely healthy and full of abundant energy. Depend upon delicious Ovaltine for sustained health and energy throughout your day, no matter how busy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pat Flanagan, and welcome to Game 4 of the World Series. Today, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Detroit Tigers are battling for the championship. Today, we are coming to you live from St. Louis. Due to the wonders of modern technology, we're able to broadcast this game across the entire nation. No matter where you are in this great country, we can all tune in. Before we return to the game, I'd like to give you a few records that are being broken or approached today. Frankie Fritch of the Cardinals is now appearing in his 47th World Series game today, 6 more than Babe Ruth ever appeared in. He's already been at bat 179 times this series. He's already hit the ball 3 times a day, making the new record for hits in the World Series 55, and he's also set the world record mark for 43 singles. Now, as we continue play here on this October afternoon, I can't help but notice the number of Detroit fans who've made the journey all the way here from Michigan. Seems like listening through the radio wasn't going to cut it for the Tigers fans. No, not on such a monumental game as this.
The Rooster doesn't just call out to the Egg McMuffin. It does it to the Sausage McMuffin with Egg, too. Stop into McDonald's for 2 for $5 mix and match Egg McMuffin or Sausage McMuffin with Egg. Breakfast at McDonald's.
Welcome everyone, this is the Jenny Smith Show. Today we're gonna have a guest speaker from the 1930s. Yes, the 1930s. He time traveled to 2018 and now is my guest speaker. Everyone welcome Pat Flanagan.
Well, stranger, I'm not sure exactly how you know my name or what I'm doing here, but I need you to explain it right here, right now.
First of all, my name is not stranger. My name is Jenny Smith. You can refer to me as Miss Smith. Now, will you please ask again?
My apologies, Miss Smith. I don't mean to offend the lady. But what exactly is it I'm doing here?
So basically, you're time traveled to 2018, and now you're gonna explain to me how your job as a radio broadcaster work and affect your life, and I'll show you some other technologies that we have in this future, and we're gonna ask you about your opinions on these.
Well, I must admit, Miss Smith, I'm a bit lost, but maybe I'll get my wits about me as we can.
All right, let's get started. Mr. Flanagan, please introduce yourself to the audience for a little bit.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Patrick Richard Flanagan. I was born in Staten Island, New York. I've been in broadcasting for about 3 years now. I've been commenting on baseball games for about a year and a half.
Alright, so our show today is going to basically interview you about some technology that you were interacting with since you're the radio broadcaster back then. So the first question I'm going to throw at you is, how did radio recording or audio recording in general affect your life?
Well, you have to understand, for the first time in history, we're able to record something from the past and listen to it in real time. Never before have we been able to do this, and this severely impacts the way that we as a society look at the past, and almost cheapens it a little bit, because if we miss something, well, we can always listen to the recording of it.
Yes, I think recording, especially audio recording, definitely changed how people perceive time back then. Alright, another question is, how do you feel about radio broadcast when you first experienced it as the audience?
Well, Miss Smith, the first time I ever heard a radio broadcast, I think I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old, and it's a really strange feeling, because you're hearing someone talking, but you don't see them, and you've never seen them, and you might actually never meet that person. Yet here you are listening to their voice, and it's quite intriguing in a way.
But then how did you decide that you're going to do this job? I guess making something that interests you. How do you decide that you're going to work in the field of radio broadcast instead of other jobs?
Well, when I heard my first radio broadcast, like I was saying, I was completely absorbed, and I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life, and I would do whatever it takes.
Why were you so into it?
Well, I think a radio broadcaster has sort of a certain sense of power about him. He's talking to such a large audience, and he also has such a direct interaction with his audience. It's almost like the radio announcer is talking directly to the person.
That's really interesting. That's like experiencing the same moment in time, although you guys are in totally different places.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like how teleportation works in those like sci-fi stories, right? Have you ever read one of those?
Yeah, I see you're a fan of sci-fi as well. Yes, I do spend a nickel every now and then on one of those sci-fi pulps.
That's really interesting. Maybe we can talk more about sci-fi stories after this show ends. All right, can you tell me more about your difficulties that you encountered while you were doing your job?
Yeah, see, radio broadcasting, especially the line of work I am, broadcasting over sports games, the announcer who's actually in the stadium talking to the audience in the stadium sort of has, he has a bit of an easier job if you think about it, because his audience is seeing the same thing he's doing, and meanwhile, I'm talking to an audience who can't see the game, and therefore I have to almost painstakingly describe what's happening so the audience can more fully appreciate the event.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was just about to show you this new technology called live streaming. It's basically radio broadcast, but instead of just the audio that's being broadcasted, the visuals, the images, and the video is basically shown to the audience as well. Here is an example of the live streaming video we have in 2018.
First pitch, the ball game is swung on and missed by Jakub Grapel, and we are underway and bang on 8 o'clock this evening. It'll be Grapel.
Kind of reminds me of like a cinema. Have you ever been to the cinema, Miss Smith?
Yeah, of course. Cinemas are in all places here. Is so easily accessible in 2018 especially.
Yeah, but I think I might be missing your point, because is cinema really the same thing as radio broadcast?
Well, not exactly, because radio broadcast requires on-time demand. So whatever you're talking about at that time, people can hear it at that same time as they're experiencing it. However, in the cinema, people don't experience things that's right when it's happening, per se. It's more like things were recorded previously and then shown to the audience. However, the thing about that is people can basically make up stories. That's basically all the films are. Well, almost like none of the films are really about real life stories, or there's like rarely some of them. Which is, I guess, the benefit of having live stream, because the audience experiencing the same visual and the same audio as if they were there.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Smith, but I have to inform you that's not quite possible.
Well, the thing is, if radio broadcast was possible, then obviously if we combine it with radio broadcast and cinema together, we can make live streaming, which is what I just showed you. If you believe it or not, that baseball game was actually just happening right now in 2018.
Yeah, I'm still having trouble believing you, Miss Smith, but I'll let you continue now.
All right. So now, since I showed you the technology we have here in 2018 called live streaming, and since it's pretty similar to radio broadcast, which is your job, I guess, can you give me some opinion on how do you think live streaming is? Your opinion on like comparing it to radio broadcast?
Well, Miss Smith, this technology seems great and all, but I'm a little concerned because I feel like the average American couldn't possibly afford the technology to be able to watch something live from across the nation.
Well, believe it or not, in 2018, the average American can access live streaming anytime. It's not only to people in America, it's also people in the entire world. When the World Cup was happening, basically people in Asia, people in Africa, they can all watch it as long as they got live streaming. Maybe the time zone is different, but people, what they do is just they stay up all late just to watch that football game.
Well, that doesn't really seem fair, because the people who actually traveled to the stadium and paid for tickets, they've invested in it. They're the ones that deserve to watch it live. I don't feel like people sitting in their living rooms or in their den should be able to.
Well, in a way, it is fair, because there are people who aren't, I guess, rich enough. They can't travel across the country or even the continent to just watch a football game, right?
Yeah, I suppose I see your point, Miss Smith.
The technology of live streaming allows people to simultaneously watch a sports game or anything as it's happening. It is easily accessible to everyone compared to actually traveling and purchasing tickets for those events. It sure changes the way people experience time in these days, because you can basically experience the whole entire world without leaving your house. Isn't that amazing?
Well, Miss Smith, that does seem like quite an amazing achievement, but I do have a concern, though. I feel like if the average American has access to this technology, he would never leave the house.
Well, sadly, you got a good point on this. Many people are discouraged to travel or attend any events because it's so easily accessible. They can just go online and then watch the live streaming video that's posted. Despite this, though, I think the way live broadcast or live streaming can bring the entire world together, and that itself is enough to outweigh any of the negative effects.
Yeah, that's true. You might have a point there, but if you stop and think about it, people actually attending the event is far more meaningful because the people are at the same place, experiencing the same event at the same time. I think that piece of human interaction is crucial.
I can see your point. I guess having people go to the same place and experiencing the same time while they're actually there is kind of like bringing individual people together into a huge group, but live streaming kind of like breaks it down into little tiny living rooms where people just sit and watch videos. Well, another point is that since the stadium is limited, it only allows a certain amount of people to attend the event at the same time. However, live streaming allows hundreds of millions of people to watch the game at the same time. I don't see how that can make anything negative.
Yeah, that's true. But if you remember what I was saying earlier about audio recordings sort of making the present a bit cheaper because if you miss something, you can always just listen back to the recording. And I think that having this visual component makes the present even a little bit more cheap because not only can you listen to something from the past, you can also watch it.
Well, I think you're overlooking the fact that live streaming brings the world together and lets the entire world experience the same time at different places. Well, it basically allows the world to live at the same time. Instead of taking hours to travel and watch a baseball game, it saves way more time to just watch it on live stream, maybe while you're doing house chores or anything like that. Well, in a way, I think the rise of live streaming actually proves the preciousness of time instead of making time cheaper in a way. The fact that people would choose to watch live streaming videos instead of going to an event means they're using their time more effectively.
Yeah, Miss Smith, I guess I kind of see your point because the way we have it in 1936, radio broadcasting already does a lot of this that you're describing, and I could see how having a visual component could only make this technology all the more powerful.
Well, that's all the time we'll have for today. Thank you, Mr. Pat Flanagan. I will send you back now.
Whoa, Miss Smith, wait just a minute. I have so many more questions I need you to answer.
Well, too bad. Pretend it's just a dream.
Yeah, well, sorry about that, folks. I've been having a bit of trouble sleeping lately. Anyways, as we continue this October afternoon, we have Frankie Fritz up to bat. Let's see if he can extend his new record to 56.